Okay, then, welcome back. And on to our second subject, and indeed our second guest in the person of Dr. Ibrahim Baba Shatambaya. He's a political scientist. He's also a civil security expert and public security, consultant. Okay, so good morning to you, Dr. Shatambaya. Let's look at security in the Northwest. This is going back to a story that we've looked at before, and the Minister of State, for Defense, Bello Mohammed Matawale, reaffirming the commitment of government to really getting on top of the situation. Let me ask you then, first of all, give us your assessment of improvement so far, if any, or to be able to judge what exactly government intends to achieve.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
We may have been aware the Northwest has become a milieu of insecurity, harboring scores of various criminal organizations ranging from kidnapping groups and various forms of criminal organizations that have actually wreaked havoc on lives and property in this particular part of the country. And a series of interventions have been made by governments at different levels to actually bring the security situation to a manageable state. Many of these interventions have actually have not been able rather to actually yield the desired result, as many people that actually live in this part of this country or have one reason or the other to actually visit this part of this country have been having nightmares associated with any form of security situation that they may find themselves to actually contend with. Like you said, in recent times, the Minister of State for Defense has actually made an attempt saying that he's moving security himself and the key security figures are moving to the Northwest, and the aim is to actually ensure that particularly the activities of kidnapping groups is actually brought to a manageable situation and if possible, even eliminated. And I can tell you that from the moment that pronouncement was made up till this moment, particularly military formations and other in cahoots with other with other security forces have been able to actually execute various operations. And as we have heard from many media outlets, many of the heads of various criminal groups have actually been consumed in the process. But the most important aspect of this is to actually bring to fore the fact that this has not in any way impacted reasonably on the security situation in the Northwest. And we could even say that it has actually infuriated many of these kidnapping groups such that they have become more aggressive and their activities have now become very, very difficult to predict. What they do now is any attempt that they make on unsuspecting civilians, they actually do that aggressively, and they make sure that they actually claim at least a life or many lives in the process, apart from the ongoing kidnapping activities that has continued, particularly along the Sokoto-Gusau Road, which has actually become very, very notorious for kidnapping activities and other forms of criminal operations that are going on along that route.
Why I let you continue speaking in there? Because I was a bit disappointed. I was going to ask you for an assessment of the situation, and that is what you have just done. Is why I didn't bother to interrupt you. It's not very good news, is it? Because it seems that if I had been able to get the question in as to give me an assessment of the state of insecurity over there, what you've just finished saying is what you would have said. And did I understand that you were somehow saying that it was the activity of our forces fighting against the bad guys that has led to this situation of them becoming more aggressive and even more dangerous? Did I hear that correctly?
It appears so.
But explain that a bit, please, because we're certainly not going to sit down and fold our arms. And so what would therefore be expected of us, especially in the light of, Bilo Mohammed Matawale, Minister of State Defense, saying that we are getting on top of the situation?
Yes, I think what we need to actually come to grasp with is that the operations of the armed forces, as well as other interventions of law enforcement agencies, have been pockets of operations that have not been very, very comprehensive. The kinetic measure that the government have taken, that is spearheaded by the Minister of State for Defense, has to be very, very comprehensive. It has to be very, very systematic, and it has to be very, very strategic. It is beyond just carrying out operations to actually do away with leaders of many of these groups. It is beyond that, because these organizations have become very, very organized. They have become very, very formalized. They have become very, very strategic, such that they have their plan of operation. Eliminating only their leaders will actually not bring the desired result in terms of actually locking the capabilities of these criminal organizations to continue with their activities that are inimical to the interest of people of the Northwest and indeed to the Nigerian state. So what the Minister of Defense needs to do, and particularly the armed forces and other law enforcement agencies, is to come out with a very comprehensive and strategic system that will actually target these various groups, because there are groups that are actually known, there are groups that actually move in droves, and therefore it makes them very, very susceptible when the government is actually serious about taming their excesses. What we expect from the government, like I said, is to come out with a strategic and systematic operation that will actually target these groups of criminals, use systematic and innovative tools, identify their jaw points, because they actually operate within specific milieus, and they actually reside within specific geographic locations that can actually be identified, and all their activities actually brought an end to.
Well, just sitting here as an ordinary citizen, I would have imagined that a lot of what you've just said, having a particular, a strategic focus and expertise to do all of that, that is exactly the way the government forces would have been moving. I would just have assumed that, because they are professionals. But since you are saying what you are saying, it means that you also have an alternative sort of an insight. Are you able to share some of these with the authorities, for instance? Because I've just described you as a political scientist, a youth activist, a social security expert. So you will have positions. Has it been easy, possible, to share some of your ideas with the authorities?
I think the discussion we are having now provides an avenue for us to actually share some of the thoughts that we actually have. In any case, I think this is not some of these things that we are saying here are not things that we actually got from the moon. Like you said, Nigerian armed forces and other security agencies are not short of professionals. These
exactly.
Basic things that security operators around the globe are actually conversant with. And I can tell you that the basic problem that we have associated with this, actually associated with the security issue in the Northwest, and indeed in many parts of the country, is not unconnected to the issue of political will. It is political will that has actually been the problem. Otherwise, these criminal organizations wouldn't have grown to actually reach the level at which they have reached at the moment. And I can tell you that if there is the required political will, the required support, galvanization of support of all critical stakeholders, I will tell you that within a very short short period of time, the government can actually bring an end to the banditry situation in the Northwest. So it's just about political will. Once the government is ready to do what is right, it is ready to put the forces and give the required directives to this personnel. I'm telling you that in no time that this situation will actually be quashed, and the security situation in the Northwest will actually be normalized. We are saying that these groups of criminal organizations actually operate within a particular territory, and this territory can actually be marked. It is not something difficult. The government have been doing it, and the government has actually done it in areas in which they have interest. If they want to actually bring an end to banditry in the Northwest and indeed in other parts of the country, it's just about mapping the areas in which these bandits have actually been operating in. Target them in a swift operation, a one-time situation, a one-time operation that will be approached from different states in which these bandits are actually operating. And once they are cycled, I can tell you that with the hardware and the software that the Nigerian military have, a great blow will be dealt to these criminal kingpins, and the security situation in the Northwest will actually be under complete control.
It sounds logical enough, but we are often told that this is a different kind of warfare. I mean, we have to use the word because our soldiers are involved. This is a different kind of warfare from normal warfare. And as you yourself said, the rogues, the bandits, are getting more and more sophisticated, and you fear that even just taking out their leaders might not necessarily harm their organization. We see that oftentimes with either freedom fighters or terrorists, depending on who is naming them. I wonder if you also have considered, because we were speaking with another expert who was explaining that part of the problem is that in the Northwest, for example, is that the society seem to have cowered the society so that you have too many people on their side. Because, first of all, a lot of these bandits are indeed our citizens. They are known in those locales. They are afraid of them. They have taken their side because they are always with them, as opposed to the military and our forces that come when there's an issue. And for how long are you going to be able to patrol this place? So this whole matter about, we had a commentator who explained that not just the citizenry, even the traditional rulers that we would run to, some religious leaders, all of those people seem to have been cowed by these bandits. Give me your commentary on that area of it.
Yes. Now, you see, like I said, these are people that are known. They are not people that are fighting guerrilla warfare. These are people that on several occasions have actually engaged various media outlets. These are people that have made demands. These are people whose parts of their demands have actually been met by this government at different points in time. These are people that have actually come out to actually show off the booties of their kidnapping, the ransom that they have collected.
Yes.
These are people that have been given traditional titles by many traditional authorities in this country. And I will tell you that one big reason why they tend to have had a sizable number or a few individuals in various villages and in various localities to their side is because the government over the years have actually proved ineffective. Now, many of these criminal organizations have the aim of actually perpetrating fear, perpetrating fear as a tool to actually achieve their objectives. Now, since the government cannot actually protect people from fear and violence, the tendency is that quite a number of people actually move to their side. And this explains why in various locations where these people are operating, you discover that there are certain villages where almost in every 3 people, you discover that 2 are actually their informants. This is a fallout of the ineffectiveness of the government. The government have actually proved to the people beyond reasonable doubt that that it is incapable of actually protecting them. It is incapable of actually cascading security to some of these areas. Many of these areas have been referred to differently by different commentators and scholars on government spaces, because the government have actually shown no interest in actually ensuring that they actually cater for the people. And this explains why many of these people are actually moving behind them. Now, apart from this, you discover that when you look at the economic situation of the country, the economic situation of the country is really bad. And this criminal activity has become a flourishing enterprise. It is a multi-million naira enterprise today as we speak. Many of these criminal organizations are making money in millions, and they use this money to actually pay for favors from these individuals that we talk about, including traditional rulers and even politicians. Remember, even the state minister of defense himself that we are talking about is somebody who over the course of time now, there have been scores of allegations against him with having one form of relationship or the other with some of these criminal organizations. And this brings to fore the aspersion that such kind of allegation casts on a very high profile public person.
Okay.
And the expectation is that if it were in a clan where people are actually modest and they actually consider integrity as something that is worthwhile, one would have expected that the minister should just step aside until such allegations are actually cleared before he can come back, if really he's still interested in actually occupying that particular position of authority. So I think...
Okay, I'm sorry, Doctor. I'm sorry. Okay.
Organizations have made over time.
Dr. Shatambaya, thank you very much. As you said, you think that the political will, and we've heard that a lot, is going to be necessary. If the Minister of State for Defense, Abeloma Mohammed Matawali, is to make good on his assertion of commitment to ending violence in there, you've indicated, and other commentators have too, that there's also going to need to be the required level of political will to achieve the objective. Thank you very much, Dr. Shatambaya, for coming on the program. Okay then. So that's our program today. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Iyori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.